I think a lot of people, looking from the outside looking in, don't understand that talent is the prerequisite, but it is not that all that there is to be. There are a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet that really influence today's landscape on where a player goes. I think we're in a time where a lot of players' outside influences, who has their hand in what, who's advising him or her, what their environment was, their support system really plays a role in where players end up.
Coming out of high school, I didn't really have a lot of basketball options. I had football options, but at the end of the day, I ended up betting on myself and then going to JUCO, Walter State Community College, and it's right up the road. So I decided to stay home at that, and then just being able to just trust the grind and just trust the process of doing everything that I need to do to make it to the next level. It actually helped a lot, and then just show myself and show my family that I could really make it to this point.
Well, when talking about Micah, first I want to say, Micah is an amazing human being. Micah, when we met, I was just getting into this thing. I was still an athlete when me and Micah met, and I was an NIL athlete getting NIL deals myself, and so I wasn't an agent yet when I met Micah. I was kind of just helping, peer to peer, putting guys on with what I knew how to get NIL deals with. And he came to me when he transferred to Alabama State, and we've had a great relationship since then. And when I wanted to do his pro day, it was a last minute thing, quite frankly.
I mean, my support system has been everything. I just announced the other day, I have a little one on the way. So on top of that, my mom, my dad, my future kid, their family, my side, her side. So it's all just been a blessing. Everybody's been supportive. Everybody's been on my side. Everybody just pushing me to be who they know I can be. So it's always been a blessing, and it's good to have a good supportive system.
I think stories like Micah absolutely ought to be told, because it really gives people insight into what the modern athlete goes through that's not a 5-star. That's not, the lottery pick. And even then, the lottery picks go through just as much. But it gets more into, okay, what is the actual, when people have their opinions on athletes shouldn't get paid, athletes shouldn't get NIL, athletes shouldn't get this and that, but they never really take the time to really look into the athlete's shoes and understand what 99% of athletes all over the world are going through. And I think Micah's story represented that to the utmost highest degree. You have somebody who did everything they were asked to do. They've been to Division I, they've been to March Madness, they've been to JUCO. They've gotten NIL deals. They had an NIL deal with Adidas, and now they are, they got a family to take care of. And it just really shows that athletes are people. Athletes are, yes, projects, but they're also people at the end of the day. And I think just like with anybody, to come in and have an opinion on what someone's work and hardship is worth, and wage suppression on, what somebody else's craft is, I think if you're going to say that, then I offer you the chance to really take a look into what the person whose wages you're trying to suppress actually go through.
I mean, I don't really know how to feel about that, because it's wrong in a bunch of points. All the class of 2022, we ain't really get that extra year feeling like all these other guys did. But coming from a JUCO and playing 2 non-NCAA years, and then only playing 2 of that and only get to experience 2 years of the NCAA level, it hurt, but at the same time, it makes me push harder so I can get to the point that I'm knowing that I can get to.
What happened with the NCAA's 5v5 decision that took away Micah's last year forced us into having this pro day. I didn't want to give up on Micah. I tried to transition him over to NBA certified agents to get him an opportunity. None of them wanted them. And so at that time, I was like, man, I don't know what to do, but I know that, he's one of my, founding athletes, and I want to do everything I can for him. And that's how I approach every client, really. Especially if you're going for it as an official agent, that's how I approach every client. But so I said, I'm not going to give up. And I actually scheduled a meeting with the executive director of the NBA G League. When we met, it was a great conversation, and he told me that there were things that I could do without the license yet, and that was setting up workouts for NBA G League teams. And I really appreciate that director for telling me and taking that meeting with me. I always appreciate that, because it helped me in a time where I really was trying to control the uncontrollable for Micah. And after he told me that, I moved right away. I went right into contacting G League teams, writing the main connections, and That's when I said, okay, you know what, Micah, we're going to do a pro day for you. We're going to do it virtually. You know, he was in Tennessee, and I was like, you know what, I know how to do this. I have done a pro day before. I did my first pro day 2025. It was more so for my athletes trying to get looks from the TBL, which is a, you know, semi-pro league that puts guys in the G League. I did that in 2025, and I had some Division I coaches come in. You know, we had some guys get some looks from the TBL team owner. We also had a guy get Division I from that pro day. So I took that experience into organizing Micah's pro day, and you know, that's how it came to be.
I mean, I feel like I do all the little things, diving on the floor, being that hustle guy, that glue guy. But on top of that, I shoot the ball very well. So I feel like when every team needs a shooter. So I mean, you can't have enough. My ability to be able to shoot with distance as well, I feel like I do that at a pretty good clip. And then also just playing defense, picking up full court, doing what I need to do, just being a pest.
I took on a lot of responsibilities when organizing Micah's pro day. I wanted to, in a way, this was kind of my own pre-draft process. I wanted to get a taste of the NBA with this. After I got the, you know, okay from the director of the G League Union, I said, you know what? That happened for a reason. He took my meeting for a reason. He set that up. He answered me. I got to use this while I can. And I instantly went out and I reached out to multiple G League teams. I connected with two G League general managers who I thank a lot because they didn't have to do that. And you know, I look forward to working with them, you know, down in the future. And they told me that they would, you know, took a look at Micah's film. They said some words about, you know, his talent and what they have for him. One G League general manager said that they'd have something for him later on in the summer, in the fall as well. And then one G League assistant coach who I connected with, he sent our information to the general manager, and the general manager instructed the assistant coach to hop on the live stream. So we were able to get a G League assistant coach on the live stream. A lot of people don't understand this, but what I learned very quickly dealing with NBA G League, NBA front offices is it's a lot different than Division I colleges. Because Division I colleges, okay, when I talk to college coaches and I have, you know, my network of Division I coaches, it's usually, okay, get the assistant on board with your client, get the, you know, head associate or the head coach, only about maximum 6 people that you got to impress with your client, right? NBA G League, in those rooms, in those scouting departments, there are 20 to 30 people making decisions that you got to get on board with your player, and they all got their own player that they like. So behind the scenes, getting to know that and learning that, and you know, having those conversations with the general managers and the scouts, and finding out that it's a different ball game and it's the next level of representation was amazing. Quite honestly, I am forever grateful for it. But it's a thing that I think a lot of people don't take into account. You know, that when you see those guys on draft day, trust me when I say there were 30 people in that room that had to sign off on that. There were, you know, he was on and when they call it a war room, it really is a war room. It is conflicting opinions. It is prospects from all over the world. And that's why, again, it's important. Who is your agent? Who is advising you? Who has the relationships in order to control the uncontrollable, is the way I would put it. And, you know, my phrase is, I like to say, trying to make the impossible possible.
Definitely don't let nobody tell you can't do something. If you put your mind to something, know and trust and believe that you can go do it. Also, being from Morristown and making it to the tournament is actually big, because I really don't know if like any other athletes like that came out of Morristown who's actually played in the March Madness. Like, I think I'm the first in like history, like since athletes been coming through Morristown, the first one to actually go and play in the March Madness. That was actually pretty cool. Like, definitely a blessing, because ain't nobody else had the opportunity to do it. I had the opportunity to do it, and it turned out pretty good.
And once you embrace that reality, that so many different ways this journey can play out, you'll have a lot more fun with it, because it goes by quick. When I was coming up, and I remember when I was in middle school, which, you know, feels like forever ago now. You know, I was in class drawing out my logo. You know, I've always been into the marketing side of things, and just to see how, you know, that was in the blink of an eye, and now, you know, I'm sitting in here in front of you as an agent, you know, doing a whole pro day with Micah. You really got to be present for it, because it doesn't last long. And, you know, I'm thankful for all the things that I learned as a player, you know, from going to prep school, going to Hillcrest Prep down here in Arizona, you know, going to Elite 100 camps, going to, you know, recruiting visits, and going off to Penn State Lehigh to play college basketball, and experiencing the portal my own self, experiencing that uncertainty. When I was in the portal in 2024, that's really what gave me the understanding of how I help athletes today, because I was in it myself. And I understand that when you're in that portal and you're waiting and waiting, you don't know where you're going to go. You got other people, you might have some significant others you're trying to take care of as well. You might have family trying to take care of. Like I've been there, and the uncertainty of not knowing how you're going to do certain things, how you're going to show up, can get heavy. And I did it alone, and that's what pushed me to being, okay, I want to be an agent, because I understood that, man, this is a lot on a player to do the court stuff and the off-court stuff and dealing with all the uncertainty. And I remember I was talking to about 3 Division I schools in that transfer portal cycle of 2024. I was blessed to receive a preferred walk-on offer from VMI. That was my only Division I offer, in my career, but I'm still thankful for it today. And it gave me that process of getting that offer and talking to other schools. I remember talking to Central Michigan. I was talking to UT Martin, and understanding that a coach could talk to you one day or have you talk to you for a whole month, and one day he might just be like, yeah, you know what, we don't got that spot anymore. So going through that and really embracing it and learning from it has helped me with my approach to athletes. It gives me a very unique understanding of what the modern athlete goes through, and that it's not all cookies and rainbows and NIL deals and fancy cars and this and that. It's words can't define how deep it can get when you are really in it. And I just would say, just embrace it and get the right help that knows how to influence that uncertainty, right? I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons in it. Some good things, you're gonna have some schools, a whole bunch of schools interested in you, but on the bad side, they can be interested at one moment, and then at any moment in time, they can just quit hitting your line, they can quit texting you. Really that comes with like just a mentality too. Like it could hurt your mental. Like some people could be like, dang, this coach want me, and then he quit, so like, why am I in the portal? To question yourself. But really, if you just stay who you are and just keep grinding, and then everything gonna fall into place.
I think the transfer portal is a two-faced street, right? I think that people talk about the chaos of it, but they don't talk enough about the good of it as well. Before the portal, athletes pretty much had no mobility, no flexibility. It was really all on, the coaches, and some coaches would abuse that power. Some coaches would use that power for good. And I think the portal really shows you that there's a lot more athletes that are late bloomers than there are that are already ready out the gate. The portal allows athletes that need more time to go to situations, develop, and then move up to where the level that they really should have been at. It really allows them to work on skills and mature without taking that dream away, right? And so I think that when you say, has it changed recruiting? I think that it has changed recruiting where coaches do want older players. But the reason why is because they want to win, and that's always been the thing. Coaches have always wanted to win because, after talking to coaches in my network, getting more involved with coaches, you start to understand as an agent that coaches have a livelihood too that they're trying to, protect, and they have families too they're trying to provide for. So it's always been about winning. It's always been about, getting to that finish line, getting to March Madness, getting to, whatever goal the athletic department has set on that coach. And I believe that the sooner that we start working collectively together, athlete, coach, administrator, agent, understanding that we all have a common goal. We all are trying to, have success. It just comes in different forms. But that basketball unites all of us. We all just play different roles into that. And I think that once we start understanding that, we all just want to be close to this game. Whether we're a coach, whether we're an agent, you're a player. And I think the portal will reflect that attitude when we adopt it, that okay, this is a conducive space. We're trying to make a portal rules, portal restrictions, portal help that takes care of everybody in fairness.
But the portal, it's treated me good, but sure, I won the NCAA tournament. Well, not NCAA tournament, but we won the first round, made school history. So that was pretty cool. So
it's sad for why Micah couldn't get his other year back, because he had to, when he went to entering college, he had to go through a backlog of 6 years and 7th year seniors, right? And so did I. You had had 22 players as freshmen going up against players who were as old as 25. And so for Micah to make it through that type of adversity, and along with the other 22s, and get to Division I still, make March Madness, and make the only game in history to be won in his school's history for March Madness, for him to not get that 5th year while everybody else did, after going through that time, is a real tragedy.
I mean, really, I play for God, but family-wise, I say my mother. My mom, she does everything she in her power to put food on the table, put clothes on my back growing up. I mean, she was always working, hard-working lady. So it's just like she my main reason why I go so hard and why I am the way I am now, because without her, I wouldn't be who I am today.
I did a draft combine on my own as a player. I went through a draft process my own self. I worked out. I went to Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, at the time I had my significant other and my family with me at that event, at that combine. I remember I was literally on the cover of that combine. Actually, I was on the flyer for that. So it was a lot of pressure, and I was coming out of college, and it was guys with experience all over the world, all over the trying to get into that new league. It was a league. It was owned by 2 former NBA players. As what the league was supposed to be. It was going to be owned by Ricky Davis, who had some time with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and one of the NBA players whose names I've forgotten, but it was a pretty big deal. So and I'm saying that to say that the combine drew in a lot of people, a lot of competition. So when I went in there, I was nervous. I was nervous. I was sweating. I was like, oh man, I gotta get here, because at the time I remember, I wanted to come be back closer to home. I remember the team that, the contract that I wanted to get. I wanted to be a team in Dallas at the time, because I wanted to be closer to Arizona, close to my family and my significant other at the time. And so I understand, Micah telling me he has a family, he's a little on the way. I understand from my own experience what happens when external factors are influencing what you're going to do with your career. Because I've literally been in it, especially trying to become a pro or trying to, have make this your livelihood. I've been in it. So I understood right away, okay, Micah is going through this. I'm sure his conversations look like this at home with this person. I'm sure with his family. And I knew exactly how to approach that and make it in a way that, okay, it's like, hey, Micah, I'm not trying to force you in anything. I'm trying to get something for you so you can take care of who you want to take care of. And I think that's where I come from with it. Is like, I want to, if I can help you take care of what is the most important to you, that's what I'm in it for, because I've been in your shoes. And I knew that, man, if I had someone with that, how that would make me feel. And it's funny because I remember, ultimately I did end up getting drafted to that league. Actually, I ended up getting, I was the 37th pick for that league, the UBL.
And then on top of that, without seeing her that she can grind 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever the time it is, knowing if she can grind Monday through Friday, doing that, I can take 2 hours out of my day and grind.
Getting an opportunity, that phrase, we have to define that phrase quickly as an industry, because that phrase has what's been the difference in how a lot of how careers have gone. The way that I would phrase it and the way that I approach working with my athletes is when I say, okay, I'm going to get you an opportunity, the way I approach it is, am I setting something up that can change your life? Am I providing value that wouldn't have been there before? Am I putting you in a position to where your situation, your career trajectory can change overnight? That's how I value it. Did I have direct contact with the decision maker and put you in front of that decision maker that could change your career trajectory? That's how I, define getting an opportunity. Now, we have a problem in the industry where, some people have different definitions of that, and that's fine. But I think the sooner that we as an industry get to a common ground on what that phrase means, and I think that the way I phrase it is how it should be phrased, everyone will be better off. Because there are a lot of kids, a lot of parents who don't know this industry, and they just see, okay, camp, A over here says we have an opportunity, we'll get you an opportunity, or program B says we'll get you an opportunity, but there's never a real roadmap or explanation on what that means. And and that's been going on, forever. But especially in this new era, once social media entered, I say around, starting 2016-ish, that's when I kind of put this timeline of this new basketball landscape we're on. About 2016-ish, that phrase has been very up to definition. When athletes are in between the stages and they don't know where the next opportunity is going to come from, they got people to take care of, As an agent, the conversation that you have is where you really understand that this job is not about, okay, did I get him somewhere? No. Some days as an agent, you are a player's best friend. Some days you are his agent. Some days you are his, manager. Some days you are his counselor, his therapist. You really build a relationship in those conversations after the workout is done with the player. Just for Micah, as he shared, he has a little one on the way, and for Micah to share that information with me early on in February of the year really highlighted to me how this business is a people's business. This is a relationship-driven business, and players are human beings as well. They got hobbies. They have people that they want to take care of. They people that depend on them. And as an agent, when you really see that behind the scenes and you understand like how much this one opportunity means to a player, you never look at basketball the same way again.
Nah, I be golfing a lot. It's kind of odd, but I do golf a lot. I go with a group of my friends a lot, but I mainly go with my pops. Like we finna go for Father's Day, so we finna see what's going on.
You have to keep your client calm and you have to keep your player understand that this is a process, that things are not just going to happen lightning quick, depending on where they're projected. You have to understand that when you're talking to that player, that this is his livelihood. So it's not like you're just telling somebody, hey, just be okay with whatever happens. Like you have to say it in a way that is, I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? I would say is nourishing to their mental. You want to make sure the player understands and walk them through that, hey, the NBA G League has their own process. A lot of people don't know the NBA G League has their own draft. And that's my point. Like, this is not over. It's never really over. When, as a player in today's landscape, it's never over. You really want to do it, it's never over. And I think when you're walking through your player with every potential outcome, that's what those conversations look like after pro day. You're competing globally. If I'm a player and I'm coming up, I have to know that I am competing with a kid in Europe. I'm competing with a kid in Africa. I'm competing with a kid in Australia who I don't know for that Division I spot. And we might be on the same talent level, but there's still uncertainty. And what controls that uncertainty, what helps that uncertainty become controllable is who I have behind me, who is repping me, what understanding do I have, who's in my circle. And I think that's why uncertainty is such a defining thing, because you just don't know. And there's so many different outcomes. You could go JUCO for 1 year and get into the NBA 4 years later. That is incredible. You could go Division III NBA 4 years later. You could go Division III, get a revenue share deal at a Division I. It's uncertainty, but I don't like the way that if uncertainty is used as a negative connotation. Uncertainty can also mean good. I think we're trained as a society, not just with basketball, to look at uncertainty as this negative. But if I'm an agent and I'm telling my client, uncertainty can also go the other way. But you're so trained to look at it as negative. Uncertainty could also mean, yeah, you could be a JV guy right now, but you could be in the NBA in 5 years. So again, like it's about understanding that that's not a bad thing. Uncertainty is a great thing with today's landscape. I am actually, if I'm a player coming up in this time, I'm telling my players I am happy that uncertainty is a good thing, is a thing now. Because if it wasn't, and it was, if you don't follow this exact rigid pathway, you're done, I would be more concerned. I'd be more like, oh man, this thing is, but no, thanks to uncertainty, the world is yours.